Right, I'm back on my Mac. I am running, this is Unity 2017.1, and it is the personal edition, obviously. And what we're building today is we're building a Game & Watch game. So I'm going to bring up Safari, and there was a game called Space Shuttle Game & Watch, and this is the game that we're building today. So I'm going to bring down the volume in this one. So, well, over the next couple of days anyway. So the idea is that you've got these little things and they're falling down from the sky, and they only have like a kind of set amount of animation, and then the space shuttle then goes along the bottom. Get rid of that ad. The space shuttle goes along the bottom, and then when you get to the base there, then you win, and so on. So that's what we're going to be building. But in order to do that, what I did was I created some assets beforehand, just to sort of save us some time in here. So I'm going to create just a blank background, and the blank background is 240 pixels across. Sorry, it's not 240 pixels across. It's 1920 by 1080 across, but I've brought it down so that it's 240 pixels per unit. So I need to bring the camera in just a little bit. So the camera size needs to be somewhere about here. So that's 2.2. So it's probably 2. That's about right. I don't think there's any blue either side of that. That's good. And so we'll save the scene here. And I'm going to call this scene game. Okay, so that is game done. Now the next one is our sprites here. So I've got 240 here, and apply, and then we want to make these soft enough, so we're just going to leave them as bilinear. But there are multiple sprites in here, so I'm going to click on apply, and then I'm going to click on sprite editor, and you'll see that this is the sprites that we have. So we're not actually going to use them all. We're just going to use the first two from each row, except for the bottom one, which is going to be our rocket. And so that's probably what we'll end up building today, is just the rocket going from left to right. But this is what we have here. So I'm going to split this. So I'm going to use this by cell count. So I have 7 columns by 6 rows. And I'm just going to click on slice, and that is going to slice up those columns nicely. So there we have that there. I'm going to call that Jupiter left, and that's Sputnik left, and that is UFO left. Satellite left, and that is Meteor your left. And then these will just be the opposites of that, so that'll be Jupiter right, Sputnik right, UFO right, satellite right, and then Meteor right. I'm going to get rid of all of these ones here. I don't need these ones. Oops, delete that. Delete, 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 delete. Right. And yeah, that's that there. And we'll call him Astronaut. And we don't need that astronaut, but we do need that rocket upright. So we'll do rocket upright. and then this will be just rocket 1, rocket 1, rocket 2, rocket 3, rocket 4. You're probably wondering why I'm doing all this. It's just so that we know where they are, and it makes it a little bit easier to identify them when we play the game, or when we get to the game. Rocket 5. So all of these have got the name there, and then finally we have Earth here. And so that is all our sprites inside that sprite sheet. Now I'm going to click on apply, and I'm going to close the editor. And so now when I look at the sprite sheet, you'll see that we have all the sprites that we actually need in here. So that's great. So the next thing to do is I'm going to place all these sprites on the board. Now the background is at 0, 0, 0. So if I bring up Earth, for example, so Earth is in the background. So I'm going to create a sorting layer. Okay, so I'm going to add sorting layer, and I'm going to call this background. And I'm also going to add another one called obstacles. Obstacles. Who knows how to spell it? And then finally, rocket is going to be the last layer there. So Earth is going to be in the let's make it the obstacle layer, and then background is going to be in the background layer. So if we go back to here, you'll see that we've put these in order, but if you think of the one at the top being the furthest away from you in the screen, and the one at the bottom being the one nearest to you in the screen, that's the sort of sorting order. So background is at the very back, and rocket is at the very front, and obstacles is somewhere in between. So Earth is actually should be over here, but I've given myself some space either side, pardon the pun. So in reality, if I zoom in a little bit here, it's actually round about here-ish. In fact, our main camera needs to come out a little bit. There you go, that's better. So 2.24 is actually where it should be. Okay, so our Earth, where's our Earth? Our Earth should be 3, and I'd probably say -2. No, -1.5. That looks about right. -1.5. So that's okay for that. And then the rocket one, we'll maybe have a better idea once we do the rockets. So our rockets are going to be rocket 1, rocket 2, rocket 3, rocket 4, and of course rocket 5. And these are all going to be fairly static images, but we still need to add them to the scene. So I'm going to add rockets there. So you see we've got our animated rockets here. So our position is 3 minus 1.5. So our last rocket should be 2 minus 1.5. And then our fourth rocket should be 1 minus 1.5. And this one should be 0 minus 1.5. And this should be -1 minus 1.5. And so that means that should be -2 minus 1.5. And that gives us our rocket. So then our up rocket, which is this one here. So this is going to be in the obstacle layer because it's not something that we're going to be hurtled into, but I do want it to be in front of that. That is going to be -3 minus 1.5. Okay, so you can see we're starting to build up our scene here. And then what we're going to do is we're then going to put in our obstacles. So this is our rocket here. and then we'll put in the obstacles. And those obstacles are going to be the left and right of each of the alternating, the left and right of each obstacle. So I'm going to create a couple of empty objects here. So the first one is going to be our rocket. So our rocket game object, and our rocket game object, this is just to tidy things up more than anything else, is going to have the same position as our middle rocket here. So I'm going to do copy component, and then I'm going to paste component values. And what that does is it puts the object at the same position as the middle rocket, which means I can then grab all these and then drag them all inside rocket. And now if I just highlight that and then uncheck that, then all the rockets disappear. So the next one I want to do is I want to create the Jupiter one. So we're going with the same kind of look and feel as this. Okay, that's what we're trying to recreate here, is this inside here, so that we end up with something that looks like a Game & Watch. And I haven't told you the best bit about this, is that we'll actually put this on the phone as well. I actually have my Samsung phone sitting down beside me, and that's what we'll end up doing. So that's a little bit of way off. Okay, so that's -1, -2 even. So -2, and then that is -1. Is that too close? That's probably too close. 0.5 is probably too far away. What is closest to that? 0.75, I think, probably. So that's -0.75. Okay, that looks about right. So that's the left one, and then we're going to duplicate that. Oops, we're going to duplicate that, and instead of having the left, we're going to do the right. So we're going to have the right, so they're both on the same position there. So I'm going to make that 0.75 bigger than that, so that's going to be 0, if that makes any sense. Then I'm going to duplicate that, and then that is going to be 0.75, and then I'm going to duplicate, oh no, I don't want to duplicate that there. I want that to be 1.5, because that's got to be at the top. And then this one here, this has to be 0.75. Okay. Now, are we getting all the right ones in here? Because that should be, that's 4. I mean, I'm not hating the fact it's 4, but it really should be 5. So we're probably not too great with the sizes here, but that's okay. I think we can live with 4, because it it should be fine. I'm not sure how we actually got to, because these are all butting up against each other. So I'm assuming that these are too high, and these were fairly low towards the screen. Oh yeah, they were right in the bottom there. Okay, so we can move the whole screen down a bit, because that's 0.75 there probably, and that's like half of that, and then that's the other half there. You can sort of see where that we could get another row in there, but whatever. Maybe we should do that sooner rather than later. Okay, well. Okay, I'm going to call the top one, well, let's give this a, yeah, we should probably do that just now. Okay, so if we do -2, that's too far. 1.8. 9. Next one is 2. No, it looks like it's too far. Unless we pull the camera out a bit and we make that We could pull the camera out a bit. Yeah, I could do that. Okay, maybe we pull the camera out a bit. Kind of loath to do that, but so there's 2.5. Maybe it should be 2.5. I mean, these are okay here. 1.25. Okay, well, yeah, okay, let's do that. So nothing really changes from the rocket's point of view, so that's -2, minus 1.75, minus 2. But then we're going to have too much room at the top. We'll just leave it, 1.75. Let's just leave it as that, 1.75. Why does that feel higher now? What? Oh, it's 1.5. Ugh. 1.5, 1.75? 1.75 seems better, actually. Okay, let's make it 1.75. Oh dear. Okay, decisions, decisions, decisions. Okay, so that means that the rocket is at minus 1.75, so that means that the first Jupiter, if it's to butt up against it, so if I hold down V, then that's the position that we get, which is minus 0.75. Okay, that's okay, I can live with that. And again, let's do the same thing. Oops. And we'll do the same thing again. Just by holding down the V key, it's really quite good. So if I do a duplicate of this one and then hold down the V key, I can get that. So that gives us our 5, and that's good. That's a good size. You want kind of more room at the bottom than anything else. Okay, so that's the top one. So I'll call that ob thing 1. That is thing 2. That is thing 3. And I'll reorder these so that they're kind of in order. 1, 2, 3. Thing 4. And finally, thing 5. The reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to create an empty one called Jupiter column. And Jupiter column is going to take all of these values, all of these items, and place them in there. Because then what we're going to do is I am going to duplicate that, and then I'm going to move it along, except I'm not going to do that. First things first is I am going to make a copy of this. Actually, the first one. I'm going to make it the first one this time. So that's going to be the first one. And I'm going to do copy component. And then I'm going to paste the component values again in there. And then I'm going to use that there because I wanted to pivot along the top one. So when I make a duplicate of this, I then just need to move that to -1. And then I make a duplicate of it and I move it to 0. And then I make a duplicate of it and I move it to 1. And then I make a duplicate of it and I move it to 2. And there we go. That's us. We have our sort of playing board, to lack of a better word. Now what I want to do is I want to make an array of this board with all the things that you could possibly have in there. So I should probably have done this before, but whatever. So that one there, that one there, and that one there, they should all receive the Sputnik left. And then that one there and that one there should be Sputnik right. And this is going to be called Sputnik column. Again, just for pure ordering reasons. And then this one here, I think I had this as the UFO, so that should be UFO left. And then the other two, obviously, should be UFO right. There we go. And this one here, this let's make that should be UFO column. And then this one, and this one, they are satellite left. And then the other ones are satellite right. And that's going to be called satellite column. Okay. And then finally, we've got the meteor as well. So we do our meteor left, our meteoric rise, and then we do our meteoric fall as well. Okay. And that is our meteor column. All right. Okay. So if a column doesn't contain, if a value isn't contained in there, we just don't show the sprite. We just set the sprite to be null, and it won't show anything. So I need to create an array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it needs to just be a Boolean value of true or false. That's all I need to put in there because it's either showing or it's not showing. And that's all I need to do. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to move them down one by one to the next column. So let's do that. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 5 by 6. So let us create a script called GameBoard. Create, and we'll call this one GameBoard. And I'll double click that, and Visual Studio should boot up. Eventually. Okay. Bool, and it is let's just call it grid, and it is new bool. Oops, wrong way. Do my C++ stuff again, and then that's going to be 5 columns by 6 rows, and we're going to clear that. So this script here, all it's ever going to do is just manually do grid things. That's all it's going to do. So I'm going to do public bool get value at, and it's going to be int x, int y, and then I'm going to do return grid x comma y. Oh dear, Visual Studio. There we go. Okay, so that's going to return the value at that particular grid point. I'm also going to have to set a value at that point. I'm going to do public bool set value at int x, int y, and then it's going to be some boolean value. So it's going to be new value equals true. So we'll default it to being true, and then we'll say grid x y equals new value. Oh, I don't need that to return bool. Public void clear for int y equals 0, y less than 6, y plus plus, for int x equals 0, x less than 5, x plus plus. So fairly standard stuff here, and then we do grid x comma y equals false. And that's it. Okay. So when we start, just out of surety, I am going to say when this awakes, I'm going to call clear, just to make sure that it's cleared. Okay, it should have cleared anyway, but we'll just make sure it's cleared. And that's the game board. And then I'm going to create another script called display. I think we'll call it display. And rename. So we'll call it display. And it's also a mono behavior. Public game board tooltip, the board that indicates what pieces are to be displayed. And then I'm going to do void awake start coroutine update display. Enumerator update display while not game over. Well, true, we'll just say, because I haven't got an end condition yet. Well, true, and this is where we have to control the display. So we have to get our grid array set up here. So I'm going to have another separate grid that's going to be game objects. So this is going to be game object, and this is going to be the internal grid in here equals new grid game object, and it's going to be 5,6, which is going to be exactly the same. And then this is my private information here. So I'm going to have public game object columns and public game object, and this is going to be rockets. Okay, so when we awaken from here, let's do yield return null. What are we going to do here? Okay, so I want to set up the grid. So set up grid, set up grid. Okay, and then I want to do void, set up grid. And then inside here, I want to cycle through all the columns and then add them to the respective grids. So the way I can do that, I think, is I can cycle through all the transforms inside there. So for each column, it's going to be the first column, second column, third column, fourth column. So I'm going to say for int, and it's going to be columns, so it's going to be x equals 0, x less than columns dot length x plus plus. So that gives me my x value. And to get my y value, I need to go through each one of them. So I'm going to say I don't want this to clash with the. So I've got this inside my awake, which clears it. So I don't want this to clash with it. So I'm going to put this in the start method. So it's going to appear later in the execution order. So for the y, I'm going to say int y equals 0. For each transform in, and then it's going to be columns 0 dot columns x dot transform. I need to get the game object from here, so I'm going to say var game object equals t dot game object. T dot. Why is that not letting me get there? Oh, I think I need to do transform. Can't do it that way. T dot game object, and then once I've got the game object, I want to add that to my grid as well. So I want to add this to the grid here. So I'm going to say grid x comma y equals go. So I can actually just do grid x comma y equals that. Okay, and then I want to do y plus plus. And then that sets everything up there. That sets up the grid, and then we're going to update the display. So the update display is going to go through for, oh yeah, we also need to add those values as well, the rockets. So then we've got to do for int x equals 0, x less than rocket dot length x plus plus, and then this is for each game object, game var geo in rockets, because that's just going to be a straight array. Then that is going to be grid, and then it's going to be x comma, and then it's the 0 1 2 3 4. Wait, 0 1 2 3 4 5. It's going to be the fifth grid element equals game object. Okay, and so that sets up that, and then tooltip, the parent game object that holds the obstacle columns. Tooltip, the rocket game objects. So we're going to kind of cheat in some of this. Okay, so I'm going to do create empty, and this is going to be our game controller. So I'm going to call this game controller, and I'm going to dump this at the very top so that we know it's important, and that is going to contain the display, and it is also going to contain nothing else just now. I'm going to create empty here, and then this is going to be the game board. And that's a game board, and that is going to contain the game board. Okay, so that's the game board there, and then the game, that's actually not the game, that's the display controller. Okay, and display controller needs game board, I don't know where to drag that to. It needs display board, and then it also needs the columns. So I'm going to drag out the Jupiter column. And I'm going to drag out the Sputnik column and the UFO column and the Meteor column. No, I'm not going to drag that one out. I'm going to drag out the satellite column first. And then I'm going to drag out the Meteor column. So that is their 5 grid, 5 rows. So our Jupiter, Sputnik, UFO, satellite, and Meteor. And then for the rocket one, I'm just going to lock this so I can drag this over here. So I'm going to select these, drag them across, and then get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so when we run this, fingers crossed I haven't forgotten anything. We should get nothing displayed on the screen. Okay. Well, it didn't break, but it shouldn't have showed anything. Okay. What went wrong? Oh, update display. That's why. Huh. Well, okay. So for int y equals 0, y less than 5, y plus, oh sorry, y less than 6, y plus plus. For int x equals 0, x less than 5, x plus plus. And then I'm going to say this grid xy dot set active, and then I'm going to grab the board grid. So board dot game board dot get value at x comma y. And now I don't know why this is saying generator. No, we shouldn't get anything displayed. Okay, so we're missing a couple of things. So we're missing rockets. So 5 isn't getting displayed, but this one is. Okay. So why is that not getting displayed? 5. Okay, let me set a breakpoint here, and we will debug this. Okay, I have never debugged on the Mac before, so this could be a short debug session. There you go, totally short debug session. Oh, that wasn't hitting. So that's being set, but that's not being set. Where? Why can't you set it there? Alright, and so step over, continue. So we're going to get to this point here. So rockets. When we got rockets, length of that. So what's the content of grid? Non-public members. Here we go. One, two, three, 4. So the last one's going to be null. So can I set a breakpoint here? No. Oh, that's useless. Okay, well I can set it here. No. Why? Okay. So 0 is rocket 5. 0 is rocket 5. And 0 is rocket 5. So what gives? Why is this being set to that? Reach go in rockets. Am I missing something? I mean, I can see what's happening, but I don't understand why it's happening. Okay, so what if I did... oh wait, that's why it's happening. Oh, I'm an idiot. Okay. Equals rockets X. Okay. Right, now I understand. Alright. Okay. And so we go in here and then we get nothing, which is great. So what we actually want to get is we want to get this one being shown. So I am then going to set up and say grid. I'm going to say that I want the controller to do this. So I want to say public int, and then this is going to be current rocket, or just say rocket column equals 0. And then inside the grid, I am going to do a display thing in here that says grid x comma whoops, and it's going to be the rocket column comma 5 equals true. So I'm going to set it to be equal to true, except I can't set it to be equal to true. I need to set it inside that grid there, so I can't do that up there. So I'm going to leave that out there just now because I just want this to handle the display. I just want the other one to handle the actual underlying what you see is what you get. So I'm going to create another model behavior, and this one is going to be called the game controller. So this model behavior is going to be called game controller. And it's going to need public game board, and internally it's going to be int rocket column equals 0, and then void update. That's going to be game board dot set value at rocket column 5 true. Okay, so this is going to set the rocket column at that position to be true. Okay, so we should see a rocket. Oh no, we won't, because we need to add a controller. So I'm going to add a new game object here. Uncheck that. I'm going to call it game controller. And I'm going to drag that to the top. And I'm going to add the script. And I'm going to drag game board over to here. Okay. And now we're going to run it. And we get one rocket. Okay. Now my plan is I want to write this for the what do you call it? Mobile. So you want to tap left and right. It's going to be a game and watch. So you tap left and right, and when you tap left or tap right, it moves the current column. So that's the idea. So I'm going to say if input dot get mouse button up 0, console dot write line, oh no, print input dot mouse position dot x. So I just want to know where the mouse position is, just to try a couple of things out. Okay, so the mouse position is over here, so that's 191, and then this is 60, that one there. So I think this goes to whatever the width of the value is. Okay, so get position up. So I'm going to say if input.get mouse position dot x is less than screen dot width divided by 2. In other words, it's the left hand side. I'm going to say rocket column minus minus, else rocket column plus plus. And then I'm going to check and make sure that those are valid. I'm going to say if rocket column is less than 0, rocket column equals 0. If rocket column is greater than 4, rocket column equals 4. Alright, okay. And get rid of collections in there as well. So this is our game controller. I'm going to change this probably over to make it a player controller, but let's just hang off for just that. Okay. So if I click down on the left hand, if I click down on the right hand side over here, he moves over there, but he doesn't remove the previous one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say game board. Actually, in this case, I'm going to say game board dot set value at rocket column 5 false. Okay, and then after that I'm going to set that value. So I'm going to reset it initially, and then I'm going to add it back in. Actually, I might just move it up to here, because this is all going to happen in one execution cycle. So it's going to delete it and then add it, delete it, add it, delete it, add it. Okay, so if I click, there we go. And there's our little rocket flying through space, which looks okay. So what I'll do is I'll also add a keyboard input if we're on a PC as well, but for the most part we're going to be mobile anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So that's the end of the video today. Thank you very much for watching. Hi guys, thank you very much for watching. This is part of the Video a Day in September 2017 videos. If you liked it or you didn't like it, hit the appropriate button below. Subscribe, so if you hit the little icon over there, then you'll get notified, especially when you hit the little alarm icon. That's the really important part apparently. Then you'll get notified when a new video goes up. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.